Hey everybody, welcome again for another awesome franchise spotlight. Today we're going to be talking about Houndstown, USA. I'm very excited to hear Jackie talk about this brand. I do have to make a quick apology. Our initial plan was going to have Michael Gould, the founder, on, and he wasn't able to make it tonight. But we have the company president, and she's going to give us some awesome knowledge on this. I really like this franchise opportunity. I like what they've done with bringing down the investment costs. And so I think this is a great opportunity in this space. It's probably one of the best ones out there. And I'm sure Jackie will agree with me on that. So at this point, I'm just going to turn it over to her and let her tell you a little bit about Houndstown, USA.
Hi, everyone. Joel, thank you for that intro. And yes, I do apologize that Mike is not on the call. He's actually out in Detroit with one of our newest franchisees, helping him get a secure lease on his building. So I'm the president of Houndstown Inc. I came across Houndstown actually as a customer. I moved out to near where our corporate location in Ronkonkoma is, and I had two dogs, and I worked in the city, and I needed a daycare service. So I found Houndstown, and I started bringing my dogs there. And as the months went by, I saw what a wonderful opportunity Mike had to not only increase the profits and revenue at his corporate store in Ronkonkoma, but to really grow the brand nationally. I thought that this was just a really unique pet care concept. I had been a customer for 10 years at a couple of other pet care places, including Camp Bow Wow. And I had actually looked into it myself to open a Camp Bow Wow, and the costs were prohibitive for me. So as I got to know Houndstown, I realized, wow, this is a really great opportunity. So about a year after that, I left my job and in the city, and I came on board to work full time at Houndstown. So Mike is my husband, and he started Houndstown nearly 20 years ago. He's a retired Navy veteran. He served in the Navy for several years back when he was very young, and then he also served in the reserves. He's also a founding member of the NYPD Canine Unit, and like he says, all that really means is that he's very old when you're the founding member of something, especially the NYPD Canine Unit. But he helped found that back in the 70s, and then he went on to become the commanding officer of the Nassau County Canine Unit out here where we live and where Houndstown was founded. And in his role in the Navy, he was deployed to Naples, Italy, following the 9/11 terrorist attacks here in New York, where he led the military working dog program. So for a year, he lived and worked in Naples, and he led the military working dog program over there. He then came back home after his deployment, and he started Houndstown. So that's brief background on how Houndstown started. So we like to call ourselves home to the happiest dogs on earth. So Houndstown is a full service pet care facility, and we offer fully interactive daycare where dogs of all sizes and breeds are invited to express their natural pack instincts. Now, because of Mike's extensive background in animal behavior, he has a very kind of soft science approach to how we treat dogs at Houndstown, how we manage dogs, and how we can really maximize their experience with us. So we focus on creating natural packs for dogs, and we keep our packs smaller. And we really try and kind of dive deep into the animal brain and to help optimize the dog's experience with us. So the interaction we provide is super critical to the dog's psychological and physical development. In addition to interactive daycare, we also offer overnight boarding. We have full service grooming. Some of our locations have a little bit of retail, and we also offer a pet taxi service. I should mention before we go on to this slide that there's a bunch of things that set us apart from many other pet care facilities. Number one is probably our cost of entry. But when it comes to our business model, the primary one is that we don't breed discriminate. Now, a lot of other pet care facilities are taking some heat now and changing their philosophy on this and their policies, and they're starting to accept what we call bully breeds, Rottweilers, German Shepherds, Pit Bulls. These mixes account for over 20% of the entire dog population. So by cutting the potential off for those dogs, we feel that franchisees and us in corporate at Houndstown are cutting off a potential 20% revenue, just from these from cutting off and not letting kind of bully breeds have the chance to even come into our facility. So what we do instead is we teach franchisees how to properly evaluate all dogs for suitability in a pack environment. And we take away the breed, we take away the age, we take away the ability or disability. Another thing that really sets us apart is we don't upcharge for things like belly rubs, walks outside, administering medication. So we offer really affordable, all-inclusive pricing for our customers. And that philosophy is translated over into our business model for our franchisees as well. So as I mentioned, Mike started Houndstown about, it's almost 20 years ago now, when he saw a really clear need for interactive daycare. Now, this was 20 years ago when people thought he was absolutely crazy for opening a pet care business. People said, there's no way people are going to pay you so that their dogs can come and play all day. But, because of his background, he really understood the needs of the dogs, and he understood that dogs really needed this in their everyday life. So as the human and pet population continues to grow, the need for a reliable and safe environment for dogs has really never been greater than it is today. So after the events of 9/11 here, Mike also had a private scent detection dog company. So him and his partner and the dogs that they were working with went down to ground zero here and worked for many weeks and months in the recovery efforts before he got deployed over to Naples. At that same time, he was also, a couple of months prior to 9/11, he is when he first opened Houndstown. So it sort of became a place for local law enforcement to leave their dogs when they were going to participate in the rescue efforts, just like Mike was. So it became a trustworthy place for people to bring their pets. And word started kind of spreading about Houndstown around town. And that's kind of how we grew organically, here on Long Island. So after he realized he had a viable business, he opened a second location in 2004. And that's now one of our 2 corporate stores. He then went on to open a third, which we sold as a franchise several years ago. That's Houndstown Farmingdale. So when 2015 rolled around, that's when we really started focusing on franchising, and we decided to make a concerted effort to begin franchising. So since then, we have more than tripled the size of our system, where we went from 3 units and we now have 17 units in 6 different states. Here's just a quick look at some of the awards we've been nominated for and have won over the years. Our Port Jefferson location has continuously won gold and platinum for the local award Dance Paper's Best of the Best. And our system's also been nominated for the Best Pet Care Facility on Long Island by Beth Page's Best of Long Island. Okay, so I'm sure everybody knows the pet care industry is booming right now. People are willing to spend significant amounts of money on their pets. I think in 2015, people spent more on their animals than they did their children, which is great for us. So we are looking to really seize on that opportunity. And even, we like to say our business is recession resilient. Even in 2006, when the Great Recession hit, Mike got prepared to kind of close his doors because we thought, well, no one's going to pay us, $26 a day for daycare when they're losing their jobs. But, while we did flatten out for about a year or a little bit less, we never lost really any momentum, and right in 2007 things started picking right back up. So it's pretty incredible that people continue to spend money on their pets even in trying times. Okay, so why Houndstown? So at the end of the day, what we're offering is really an amazing opportunity that capitalizes on our canine expertise in order to offer a low cost of entry with really outstanding economics. So this business uses really simple operations and customizable revenue streams. So our first primary thing that really sets us apart is that we have what most other pet care franchises do not have. We have the dog knowledge. If you look at some of the other pet care franchises, they're all started by, nice, great people, but they don't have any real experience in dog management, in the dog brain, and the science behind dogs. So this is so important when it comes to building the bones of our business. Our policies and procedures are really rooted in Mike's 35 plus years of dog management and training experience. We really know what we're doing. Our staff knows what we're doing. We spend a tremendous amount of time during the training process on teaching people how to group dogs properly. And at the end of the day, that's what is really most important, that the humans in our system know how to manage dogs to optimize their experience. And Mike likes to say, you know, because of his experience, he's really able to see things from 10 inches off the ground, meaning from the dog's perspective. So all of our facilities are built with the needs of the dog in mind, primarily, which really removes a lot of the excess costs associated with incorporating things that are more for the humans, like expensive build-out material. However, we do like to give franchisees the option of incorporating certain upgraded materials into their build-outs. But really our canine expertise gives our franchise owners a special competitive advantage over many other doggy daycares. And because of this, the Houndstown locations are really able to offer the highest quality of care to all of the dogs that pass through our doors every day. So this is a quick look at our cost of entry. As you can see, it's a lot lower than a lot of our other competitors in the industry. And people always ask, why does it cost so much less to get into your system? And the answer is because we keep it very simple. I always like to say people who come for Discovery Day, why would you pay $1 million for something that you can get for $250,000? Our philosophy really is the less money we invest, less money we require people to invest in build out means that the more money they're going to have in their pockets. And that means the more successful they're going to be and the better ROI they're going to have and the happier they're going to be at the end of the day. We all know happy franchisees are more enthusiastic about the brands and help sell more franchises. So this is our kind of organic strategy for growing our brand. And our investment costs are 4 times lower than the industry average. It's mainly because we use affordable building materials. Our build out is very simple. It can be completed by a contractor or even some of the franchisees themselves. If they tend to be handy, they like the kind of the DIY aspect that we have to some of our build out. Okay, so here's a quick look at our investment opportunities. We're asking broker leads to come in at a 2-pack minimum. I feel like this will really help us scale the model and optimize our impact in a lot of these new markets that we're getting into. Because this is such a scalable business, we want to really incentivize candidates to build multiple units if they're qualified to do so, to be a sort of area developer. So since we're a younger franchise, we do have a lot of opportunities to do this in a lot of great markets. We also offer a 10% discount for veterans. That is super important to Mike and something that he has made sure is very, is an opportunity for veterans, right out of the gate. We do have 2 or 3 other owners who are also veterans. They're former Marines. They receive the same 10% discount. So we love, Mike really loves being able to give that opportunity, to provide that opportunity to people. Okay, so here, this is a great slide, I think. This takes a bunch of our competitors and lays this out so that you can see really the sales to investment ratio and how much higher it is for our system than it is for much of our competitors. This will look way even better when we are able to release our 2018 AUV numbers in our item 19. So because our investment is much lower than the industry average, our sales to investment ratio is a whopping 346%. If you take a look at what some of our competitors are grossing annually and compare that with what we gross here at Houndstown, there really is not much of a difference. So that elevated initial investment that's required by some of our competitors is not really making any extra return on the franchisee's investment, and it's not producing a higher sales volume. So again, that takes us back to why would you pay $1 million for something you can achieve for $250 or $300? Okay, so like I said before, we like to keep things very simple at Houndstown because dogs are really simple. So we kind of take their lead. So our straightforward approach translates into all areas of our business model. Now, because of the simplicity of what we offer and how we cross-train our staff for a variety of tasks in the business, we have minimal staffing needs. So franchisees have the option to pick and choose roles they want to play in their business and to hire for those roles they don't wish to fulfill themselves. These factors help keep payroll down and staffing requirements to a minimum. The flexibility of the model also allows the franchisees the freedom to pursue other careers and other passions, or even to continue, working in another career while they build out and even own and operate a Houndstown location. Here's a look at some of our revenue streams. So right now we require franchisees to offer 5 services: interactive daycare, overnight boarding, full service grooming, a small retail section, and a pet taxi service. But there are options for additional revenue streams such as vet care, cat care. Who knew now that cat care is so in demand? But we recently just added a cat care service to our business model. It's called Purrington Villas. So a few of our locations have opted to offer that. And same with cat grooming. Cat grooming is apparently a thing now. Who knew? But we like to listen to the market. And if we're getting phone calls asking if we do cat boarding or grooming, the answer is yes, if we get enough of those phone calls. I think we're a young enough system now where we can take those things into consideration. And, some of our franchisees will come to us and say, hey, we think this is a really good idea. Can we try this? And usually if it makes sense financially and operationally, the answer is yes. And we will take their idea and we'll test it at our corporate store and share the results with our franchisees. So here's a couple of other optional streams that we think might be a good option depending on location. So our customers, so we are a very middle of the road brand. We are not super high end. We are not going for the customer that's going to pay $150 a night for their dog to sleep in a suite with a television and, for bottled water service. Our customers are blue collar working people in need of reliable and trustworthy pet care. They're customers who treat their dogs like family and have some expendable income to spend on their pets each month. We don't upcharge for things like giving medication, belly rubs, and our customers really appreciate that. So the majority of our customers are working people, and our locations are positioned in areas that capture that commuter traffic. So it's easy and convenient for people to hop off the expressway on their way to work. People will travel about 5 to 7 minutes out of their way, drop their dog off, and then get back on the expressway. If you go to any of our social media, you'll be able to see a lot of different reviews from different people. I think these really help support what we're saying, and they're important validations for either for customers or for future franchisees. So here's a quick look at our facility requirements. Our ideal space is a 4,000 to 7,500 square foot freestanding building, although we know that this is not always an option in some of these newer markets. All of our locations are town themed. So Mike started the Houndstown idea, not only to be a cute and engaging brand, but to also to be an umbrella for all of these different services that can be offered. And we do require that all of our locations, we actually just changed this, they have to have a minimum of 5 play areas. And if you see how this is laid out, you can see this is one of our most ideal layouts because it's just an open warehouse. In the front, it has a small lobby, a leash room, a grooming room, and that's it. And then we like the space to be open in the back so we can create these big playrooms. And then we use the perimeter of the facility to line with our suites. So this is just a visual of what we call Houndstown Boulevard. As you can see, it's super fun and inviting. It's just one example of something that a franchisee can do in their facility. And like I said, Houndstown was made to be sort of an umbrella, and every location is designed to look like a town for dogs. We've got locations that have a cinema, like, as you can see, a barber shop, a town hall. We like to make it super visually appealing. That's really where we tap into the customers. Obviously, the dogs don't care about this, but everything that you see in this picture is everything was bought by either Amazon or Michael's. Very affordable, easy to acquire and install elements that are really furnishings to make this look really cute. So this is an example of our play area at our corporate store. Again, visually stimulating for the humans, clean and safe for the dogs. As you can see, we don't include anything in the playrooms except for this little townhome thing. There's no bedding, no toys, no food. We strive to allow dogs to interact really as naturally as possible without the introduction of things that may trigger aggression or distract from this. So here's a drill down look of some of the details of our daily operations. We have usually anywhere from 2 to 4 well-trained employees that can run the facility on any given day. So this is an important element when a store first opens, and allows for a minimum number of employees to work the store until the business really begins coming in and the store grows organically. Our stores are open from 6 or 7 in the morning to noon, and then we close between noon and 2. And Mike started this during the recession to save money on payroll and other expenses, and we just continue to do it because it's a great opportunity for the staff to clean and do some administrative work. So we're there and we're staffed, we're just closed to the public. So our kennel attendants are entry-level individuals. Shift leaders and managers must have customer service experience and some basic dog management skills. But even with our franchisees, what we prefer is they don't have any dog experience whatsoever. We prefer that they have experience running a business or managing people or working in corporate America. But when it comes to the dog experience, we prefer none because we have a very specialized way that we manage dogs, and Mike prefers to teach people from scratch. And the number of staff members on site at any given time varies depending on the number of dogs in the facility. So franchise owners will want to maintain at least a 12 dog to 1 person ratio. It says 15 here, but really we like to go for 12. And for safety reasons, we always have at least 2 employees on at any given time. And yeah, franchisees are provided with a whole guideline on how they should hire. They're encouraged to provide incentives for employees to move through the system. And we provide a detailed step program on different suggested steps for achieving this and getting the most out of their employees. Okay, so location and territory. So our ideal location, as I mentioned, is a freestanding building. It's in an industrial, light industrial, or commercial area. This is a shot of our corporate place in Ronkonkoma. It's in walking distance of a train station, but it's in kind of a rough and tumble area. As you can see, there's some houses in the back. That's actually not ideal because people get neighbors that complain about the barking. So that's why we like to be just off the beaten path. We're specifically not on Main Street, because of the cost and also because of zoning and because of noise issues. So we like to be in these little pockets that are easily accessible from major commuting thoroughfares. This is a quick look at some of the hot markets that we're going after, although we really don't target any market in particular. We like to see where the leads come in first, although we are focusing mostly on the eastern side of the country. Just geographically, it's easier for us to support as we get larger. So we currently have 17 locations. We have 2 corporate stores, one in New York and one in New Jersey, and the rest are franchised. 7 of these stores are on Long Island. So we've got 5 open and operating right now. And we've got 2 more that I'll be opening in the next month. So we'll have a total of 7 here on Long Island. The rest of them are going to be in Nashville, Atlanta, Pittsburgh, and Detroit. We just signed a 3-unit deal with a fellow named Pete to develop the Detroit metro area. So that's super exciting. So we're looking to expand to markets that have a growing population of younger working people, like Raleigh and Charlotte, Austin, Texas, some of these places where younger working people are moving kind of in droves. So our ideal franchise owner is obviously someone who loves dogs, but that's actually not the main quality that we look for. We really look for people who have some type of management experience, management and customer service experience, because at the end of the day, whether we're selling widgets or we're managing a doggy daycare, having those skills is really critical to the success of the business. Of course, liking and loving dogs really helps. There's there's a lot of different opportunities for franchisees to kind of make their own role in their business. Some of our franchisees are owner operators. They work in the business 40, 50 hours a week. Some of them are semi-absentee, and they work in other careers. So here's, just a quick look at some of the qualities that we look for. We don't right now entertain anyone who wants to come in purely for an investment reason, just because we feel like even if the owner is semi-absentee, there's an importance level there, because this is such a personal business, of having the owner involved in the business. So this is Colleen. She is one of our newer franchisees. She's going to be opening her Garden City location in 2 weeks. So right now she's running around getting everything together. So she's kind of our ideal franchisee in that she came from a franchise background. She helped found a kickboxing franchise, so she understands the business of franchising. She loves dogs. She has 4 dogs of her own. She wanted to change careers, and so she partnered up with a friend of hers, and the two of them are going to be opening their location soon. She's going to be working in the business 30, 40 hours a week, and she also has a co-manager. So that's what she'll be up to. Quick look at a day in the life of owner operator or semi-absentee. These are the 2 types of franchisees that we have found are most ideal for the business. The owner operator may work anywhere from 20 to 40 plus hours a week in the business, be hands-on with customer service, dog grouping and management, hiring staff, marketing. The semi-absentee, may work a few hours a week on the business, not necessarily in the business. I think the great part about this business is that 80% of the staff can be entry level, which really helps keep payroll down. And as long as franchisees have really good management, we call them shift leaders in place, then it's completely possible for the franchisee to step away, almost immediately, depending on a lot of other factors. As long as they have that key staff in place. This is what our process looks like in a nutshell. So once our candidate has been fully vetted by our team and arrives at, I guess, about step 6, we then invite them for a discovery day at our corporate location in Ronkonkoma. It's a whole day, and it's basically a meet and greet. We like for people to be in our facility, to know what it's like to be in a facility with 80, 90, 100 dogs. The franchisees get to meet our staff, interact with our customers. We also then take them around to 3 or 4 of our other locations here on Long Island to give them a really good idea of what other Hounds towns look like, and what type of neighborhoods they're in, what the buildings should look like. So it really provides a real world look at what it's like to own a Hounds town. Again, another quick 10 steps to open. Because we're such a young franchise, we really assist in all areas, from site selection to reviewing estimates from contractors to field training. So we hold everyone's hand pretty closely. As we get larger, we're looking to build other people onto our team that can be field reps, and so we can scale this. But for right now, especially we're in these new markets, we really are very careful about making sure we provide that support to people in the beginning. Here's a look at what our initial training looks like. It's about 90 hours, and it's combined classroom and field training. So we divide it into 2 parts. The first part begins about 4 weeks before a franchisee is going to open. So they'll come and they'll stay they'll come to Ronkonkoma and do about 40 hours of seminars. And we cover topics like dog handling, grouping, operations, administrative duties, human resources, marketing. We also certify every franchisee in doggy first aid and CPR. And then we also do an immersion program. So the franchisees, what a day may look like is they may come at 8 a.m. They may do 4 hours of seminars, and then at 1 o'clock, they're going to shadow our staff and actually work at the facility from 1 to 6 o'clock. So, especially with the dog management part, it's important that people are immersed in that in the beginning because there is a learning curve to it. So we found that this combination is really ideal. And then the second half of the training is done at the franchisee's location after grand opening. So our team spends about 50 plus hours out at the stores, really aiding the franchisees and their staff get the operations going. So usually for the first 2 to 3 weeks, that's what our staff will do. After that, we've moved into doing, move this slide, we've moved into doing either usually a once a month or bi-weekly visit to the store to continue to address any issues that the franchisee is having. We also developed this franchise owner buddy system where we pair up a newer franchisee with one of our veteran franchisees, and it just really helps the new franchisee kind of learn how to manage and handle things and have somebody to pick up the phone and talk to. We also do a lot of training seminars at our corporate store here. That we invite a lot of different staff at our local stores to come to. We're also going to be launching an educational video series so that we can communicate with our franchisees and their staff that's out of state, so that we can provide more kind of face-to-face ongoing support without having them come to us or us go to them. We also have our annual meetings. We just had ours here. Next year, we'll be having it in either Nashville, Pittsburgh, or Atlanta. It's a race to see who opens first. And then marketing. We're always, looking to improve our marketing strategies and figuring out what works in these new markets. So we work with a professional marketing company to help us do that. Again, quick look at our marketing requirements. 2.5% is the minimum spend for local. We're probably going to change that a little bit in this new FDD because we're finding that people really need to spend more in their first year in order to get where they get, to hit those KPIs. And then our annual marketing, our brand fund is 1.5%. And that goes to, we have a very big presence on social media. We have a content company that produces content for social media for all of our franchisees. We have a public relations team whose part of their job is to work with new franchisees and new markets to get, some organic coverage for them. So that's some of the places where the public relations, where the brand fund goes to. So this is a really important part of our brand, Houndstown Charities. This is something that Mike is really, really passionate about. He founded the charity in 2011. It's a 501c3. And what we do with it is every location is really encouraged to partner up with their local municipal shelter or a rescue to offer discounted daycare and boarding services to animals in need. So what that looks like is, I'll use our Bergen location as an example because they've really done this, I think, in the most ideal way. So they opened in September. They partnered with the Bergen County Animal Shelter, and they had three. They sort of promised the shelter that they were going to always have 3 spots for dogs that from the shelter that really needed to get out of the shelter and that were adoptable, but that could use some more socialization and behavioral work. So they currently house 3 shelter dogs every month. Well, they'll keep the dogs until the dogs get adopted. And the reason I think that they've done such an ideal job with this is because they've gone through about 12 or 15 dogs now. They've all been adopted. They've all gotten the they've all gotten the chance to socialize, which also makes them more adoptable. And they've also turned 4 of those dogs into customers. So it's a great marketing tool, the charity. And it's something that Mike is super passionate about. We do a bunch of other programs out of our corporate office, including a handcuffs to healing program, where last year we partnered up with our local correctional facility and took 6 dogs from the shelter, paired them up with low-risk inmates from the facility, and we did a 6-week training program. And at the end, all the dogs got adopted. So we're always doing different programs like that through us here at corporate. And again, the franchisees, it's definitely a big part of their efforts in the community. Because at the end of the day, this is obviously people are getting into this to make money, but it's also about doing something for your community, being a bigger part of your community, and helping dogs in need. That's definitely one of our main missions. So we achieved that through working with our charity. Recap. I think, to me, Mike's canine expertise is really what makes us different. Our low cost of entry is another one, and our outstanding economics. The fact that we keep things simple. Our model is really recession resilient, and we provide people the opportunity to be semi-absentee, which doesn't lock them into making decisions to leave careers or transition careers, until they're really ready to do so, which is very nice. And that's it. So thank you for letting me tell you about Houndstown. If anybody has any questions, feel free to let me know. Thank you.
Thank you for going through that with us. I kind of promoted this as a franchising spotlight. I thought that was pretty clever, but I just kind of the concepts that I would, or some of the notes I would make is adding cat boarding. That is something I've been wondering at for a while, because I see this doggy daycare thing growing, and I know that cat owners have just as much need for places to put their cats when they're gone as dogs. Maybe not on a daily basis, but traveling for sure. So I think it's really interesting to see you rolling that out. And then when you look at the investment info, you kind of mentioned how you have a 2-unit minimum. Opening 2 units with this, if you're looking at the revenues, you're going to blow the competition out of the water having 2 locations open for half the price of some of the competitors.
Right. So, yes. Right. Yeah, that's why we feel like it's so scalable, and where people can really make money is by having 2, 3, 4, 5 units in one market. So I think there's a huge opportunity for people to do that.
Yeah, and the way that you've got the cost down. I mean, one of the things I love about this franchise is just the innovation behind it. Looking at the dog psychology, figuring out what is the best place for dogs, and then focusing down how can we kind of eliminate wasteful spending to really open this up to people and allow them to scale their business. The cost itself, I mean, the cost comparison between this and other doggy daycares, it's kind of astounding when you think about it. I mean, there's a couple I remember looking at when I first got into franchise consulting, and I remember thinking, wow, $1 million to open a facility for dogs to stay at, that just blows my mind. But I was looking at several different concepts, several different franchises, and they all were in that $1 million range, like 800,000 to 1.2. And then when I saw your franchise and I saw that you could open one for down around 200 to 250, I was just like, this is somebody that's definitely doing something right and solving a problem that this industry has. Because there's no real, from what I've seen anyway, there's not a real dominant player. There's no it's a very fractured market space. There's no real dominant player that has all of the market share. It's kind of up for grabs. And a concept like yours that would allow somebody to open, 4 to 5 locations instead of just one for the same amount of money. I think that really allows you to kind of take over this market while it still is growing and while it's still so fractured. Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And build out costs are based on real numbers. And, we just opened our second corporate store, and we worked within the FDD, we worked within the item 7, and we came in under budget, and we opened a 4,000 square foot facility. So we know it's doable. I know some people come to us and they're like, oh yeah, we don't really believe that you can really achieve that. But believe me, I get costs from every franchisee that opens this year, and we drill down into it to make sure that what we're putting out there is based on something that's real, and it is. And I'm excited for people, for our new FDD to come out. If everyone can get it together quick enough, to all of our attorneys and everybody to get it out in a quick enough time, but it, I think it will really show the growth that we've had from even 2017 to 18, and you'll see an even more impressive average unit volume for some of our veteran stores. And I think it just drives the point home even more that, like, you do not need to spend $1 million to gross $1 million a year. So
yeah, that's really impressive. Well, thank you for spending time with us. And anybody that expresses interest to me, I'll make sure that I connect them with you. Or if they're a little ways down the line, I'll make sure they get the new numbers when your new FD comes out, so they can kind of see how you guys are growing and expanding.
Awesome, great. Well, thank you so much for having me, Joel.
All right, thank you for coming on.
All right, take care. Bye bye.
Take care, everybody. Have a good week.